Hey guys, and welcome to a new series in the channel where we rank things from top tier to low tier. And there's going to be many different things I incorporate into this series. I think we're going to have a fantastic and enjoyable time doing this. Let's start off with my favorite anime of all time in Yu-Gi-Oh! So Yu-Gi-Oh! Has many different series following different characters through their journeys and whatnot. Let's start off from Season 0 Yu-Gi-Oh! And work all our way to Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. Okay, let's get straight into it, shall we, for this tier list. We'll start off with Season 0 Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0 Yu-Gi-Oh! For me fits in the A tier. It's not about the card game. It's a very good series, actually. Like, I highly recommend reading it and watching it in sub and Japanese. Now, Yugi pretty much, as everyone knows, receives the puzzle and pieces from Grandpa, and no one's ever solved it before. Yugi pretty much solves the puzzle and gets one wish. I won't reveal what the wish is, so people go and watch the series. But anyhow, it's not all about the card game. Like, the card game only features in a couple of episodes with Kaiba and Yugi dueling with monsters. Like, the Pharaoh helps Yugi out in certain situations, plays these very dark and evil shadow games where sinister things happen to the loser. Effectively, I'll give an example of someone falling off a building, and the Pharaoh makes an illusion that there's monsters at the bottom with water and that underneath, obviously, and the guy is screaming. In one particular instance, when this guy lost the shadow game, his eyes got turned mosaic. Kaiba doesn't like Yugi in the series at all. He doesn't like him in particular anyway, but in this particular series, Kaiba is out to pretty much murder Yugi in some situations. So, for example, Yugi, Tristan, Taya, and Joey go out to the theme park where Kaiba's invited them, and they go through all these stages. And Kaiba, in one of the particular stages, brings in a SWAT team, and they're pretty much Yugi, and they're going through the maze, and the SWAT team's trying to find them and shoot bullets and that at them, and oh, it's crazy. And Mokuba, I think, invited Yugi to the mansion, I think, and they were playing this roulette game, and whoever landed on the last one got the burger that was laced with poison, and the Pharaoh worked out in the end that Mokuba had rigged it, where the Pharaoh was going to get the poison laced burger, and he manipulated, and Mokuba was forced to eat, and of course, very interesting and must watch. But yeah, that's where it ranks for me, the A tier, just because of how dark and how evil it really was. Like, just to add to Season 0, guys, in that as well, of course, the Millennium Puzzles there, all the other Millennium items are there. We see Shardy feature with, he plays a particular shadow game with the Pharaoh. I think Taya is balancing on a plank, and Yugi has to do something to rescue Taya. Bakura is, of course, evil and sadistic as always. He pretty much traps Yugi and his friends in pretty much a Dungeon and Dice Monster type game, where Bakura thinks he's rigged the game, and ultimately Yugi and that get through with the Pharaoh's help and get away with it, pretty much. But yeah, some very cool things happen in that anime, and that's hence why I've ranked it so highly. Okay, a lot of people will be interested where I placed the original Yu-Gi-Oh! The original Yu-Gi-Oh! I grew up with, and I loved it. I absolutely thought it was well executed in most parts, and I'll put it in the A tier. It has a lot of flaws with it as well, but it's always good to go watch nostalgia, like classic monsters like Dark Magician, Blue Eyes White Dragon, Red Eyes Black Dragon. We have Jinzo, Flame Swordsman, Zodia, Egyptian God cards. The list can go on for the nostalgia monsters for me. Duelist Kingdom, it started off with being all over the shop, pretty much, just in terms of the monsters that were summoned left, right, and centre. Like, then there were some bizarre things that happened, like Giant Soldier Stone attacking the moon against Mako. Burning Land against Weevil was quite fascinating how that played out as well. The villain Pegasus, I thought was really good. Maximilian Pegasus was the creator of the card game in the original anime. Played Toon Monsters, which I thought was cool. We had versions of Summon Skull, Blue Eyes White Dragon, etc. Favorite duels were, of course, Maximilian Pegasus versus Seto Kaiba, and of course, Maximilian Pegasus versus Yami Yugi and Yugi. But a very good introduction to the series. I felt put some really cool monsters in that part of the anime. Battle City for me was the best arc out of across all the Yu-Gi-Oh series. I thought by far was well executed. Introduced the Egyptian god monsters, Scythe of the Sky Dragon, Obelisk the Tormentor, and the Winged Dragon of Ra. They were fearsome monsters, and everyone was intrigued with how they were going to be played, what sort of effects and that they would have. Of course, Kaiba had Obelisk, Yugi had Slyther in the end, and Marek had the Winged Dragon of Ra. Some very good Battle City duels. I thought Marek and Joey was the best duel of that particular arc. That duel was a very good back and forth, and Joey almost won it. If he had declared an attack with, I think, Guilford the Lightning, he would have won. Yugi versus Kaiba was, of course, very good. Possessed Joey and Yugi was good as well. But yeah, Battle City for me was absolutely fantastic. And throughout this, by the way, too, guys, I thought they were building up Bakura up very well as well. Like, eventually, everyone knows he became the main villain at the end, and he was between the Pharaoh and himself for the Pharaoh to reveal and find out his name in that game towards the end. Yeah, Battle City was very good. The one disappointing thing about that was the Virtual World arc sort of squeezed its way in between the finals. And I found that incredibly disappointing because the Virtual World arc was actually not too bad. It introduced a cool concept in Deck Masters, which I'd like to see in the real life card game somehow one day. But yeah, poorly executed where that was placed. The Virtual World arc for me, with Noah Kaiba, was okay. But I felt if it was after Battle City, I think it would be more remembered. Waking the Dragons was a very interesting arc as well with the Seal of Orichalcos. I enjoyed the characters Raphael and Darts and Valiant. Valiant with his armor cards must be printed at some point. I love the concept of putting pieces in that together with that particular duel. And his duel between him and Joey was absolutely amazing. Darts versus Kaiba and Yugi was quite good as well with the Great Leviathan and whatnot. But yeah, a very solid arc, Waking the Dragons. The Grand Championship for me was just too much filler, I think, really. Siegfried von Schroeder and Leon von Schroeder. Don't get me wrong, I like Siegfried and his Valkyries and Leon with his Fury type cards, but I just thought we had enough sort of tournaments and whatnot, and I think people wanted to see by then the Pharaoh go back to Egypt and whatnot and find out a little bit more about himself. Now it brings me to the point of the Egypt part where I felt it was a bit too short. I would have loved a few more duels on the stone tablets. That would have been quite cool to see. But at the end of the day, that's a quick summary. At the end of the day, love the series and I like watching it from time to time. Maybe once a year, go through and watch all the episodes. Right, YuGiOh GX. Where will I rank YuGiOh GX? It is pretty much sort of in the B tier for me. A big con about the series for a start off, catchphrases and that are a thing in this series. They repeat them over and over again, like get your game on, and there's another one, Chaz it up, for example. But overall the series is still pretty interesting. I like the academy idea with obviously Jaden, Cyrus, and Chumley Hufflington at the start, or in the Slyther Red Dorm, and then you get introduced for characters from Mario Yellow with Bastion. Obelisk Blue, you get Chaz and Alexis and Zane, pretty much. Favourite cards from the series are like the Cyber Dragons from Zane. One interesting thing to say is when Zane did all those underground duels, and he changed up his deck, I question that. Like, his Cyber Dragons were so good. Why would you change that deck? Obviously, he wanted to challenge himself as a duelist. Yeah, the 7 stars arc in YuGiOh GX wasn't too bad. I found that Camula was surprisingly a bit overpowering for me, if you know what I mean. Like, she was winning too many duels before eventually she got beaten, obviously, by Jaden. I did like the ending to that with Kagimaru. That duel was kind of epic. The Sacred Beasts were kind of a rip-off of the Egyptian God cards, which were kind of not right in my opinion. They could have made some different type of monsters that Kagimari could have utilised. Sartorius Kumar, that arc, the Society of Light arc, was quite good, I felt. I really enjoyed that. Sartorius had, of course, Arcana Force monsters, which were featured in the duel between him and Jaden Yuki. Season 3 and Season 4 were very fascinating series to watch as well. I liked Tyranno Hasselbury. I didn't mind the old dinos. Jesse Anderson, Crystal Beast, brought an interesting concept into the game, along with Jesse Anderson's Rainbow Dragon. Some very interesting characters of choice. Adrian Gecko, what a silly name that is for the archetype he run, which was Cloudian Monsters. Axel Brody had a cool theme of volcanics. A lot of people want volcanic support in real life, of course, and I want that as well. Yubel, the anime character towards the end in the dub version, was kind of cool. I kind of liked the concept of how she was put away after Jaden, when he was younger, had her following him pretty much. But yeah, for me it's B tier. The last season that was not dubbed is a recommend watch as well. It's very interesting what happens to all the characters, and I totally recommend watching that part here. But I put YuGiOh GX in the B tier for me. Just not quite as good as Yu-Gi-Oh, but still a series worth watching. Next up on this list is Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds. For me, 5Ds is an S tier for me. Not my favourite series, but the reason why I'm putting this in an S tier, and I think everyone will generally agree that has watched the Yu-Gi-Oh series, it was quite innovative for the anime that it was. It introduced synchro monsters in an innovative way of dueling on the motorcycles. It had a very good arc with the signers taking on the dark signers. I kind of enjoyed the epic duels with all the characters pretty much involved. I loved the concept of all the signer dragons as well, and it built throughout the whole series. Love Yusei as a main character as well. Of course, if you guys don't know, Tristan and Yusei have the same voice actors. But Yusei had a very interesting story. It was built up quite nicely along with Jack Atlas. They were the two characters that had a bit of a rivalry going. Of course, Yusei had Stardust Dragon, Jack Atlas, Red Dragon Archfiend. My favourite character in the series, though, is Crow Hogan. He introduces Black Wings to the series, and Black Wings could do some amazing things, of course. But yeah, for me, it's an S tier, and it has good character development and everything, and it gives a lot of opportunities for other characters to shine. So a must watch in my book. Next up is Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. Now, a lot of people don't like Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, and I am one of those particular people. I'm going to put Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal in the D tier. I still don't mind watching it from time to time, but I cannot stand the main character, and that is Yuma. I don't mind Astral. I think Astral's pretty cool, and I like the story and his journey of trying to collect all the number cards to restore his memory. That's a very cool concept. I like the like Rival and Shark, some of the villains like Dr. Faker, Vetrix, for example, Don Thousand. But Yuma does all these silly little moves. He goes against the wishes of Astral, does all these plays, and he's feeling the flow and whatnot with how he plays. Of course, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal introduces a new mechanic in XC summoning, which I do like. But if you watch the series, you'll instantly probably not like the character Yuma too much. Another cool character is introduced into Zexal is Kite Tenjo, and there's some very popular Galaxy cards in the TCG and that for people to play. And of course, he runs Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. But for me, I didn't like Zexal as much as the other ones, and it is a D tier for me. Rightio, moving along, we've got Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V now. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V introduced for me a very controversial mechanic into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Pendulum summoning wasn't liked by too many people, like a pendulum summon in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is you place now in the spell and trap zone, and if the monsters fit in between the scales, the levels, you're able to summon as many monsters from your hand as possible that fit in between that. In the anime, it's not too bad. For me, it fits in the B tier along with YuGiOh GX. A bit of a con for me from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V is the fact that I find the concept of running around and picking up cards and using them a bit strange. But Yu-Gi-Oh's got some pretty cool monsters, like he's got Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, he's got the Stargazer and Time Gazer Magician, and it has some pretty cool arcs to it as well. I like the old dimensional travels into like the GX era, the 5Ds era. It makes for compelling viewing. And I did like the concept and ideas that Arc V had. They didn't fully execute on them the way I thought they would. But, yeah, overall, I think it's a B tier and definitely a must watch. Okay, Yu-Gi-Oh! V-Range is next now. These guys duel on hoverboards. They have the three zones, like Monster and Spell and Trap, like similar to Duel Links. And then they have, I think, normal duels in that as well. Yusaku runs like the Code Talker, Firewall Dragon. He's got many cool different talkers as well that do many different things. Cyverse is a new type of monster introduced into this anime too. The anime has a lot of different plots and a lot of different things happening at once. They've got some very cool characters in the series as well. I like the character Revolver, which is his Japanese name. I think Verus is his name in the dubbed anime. For me, this is a B tier. It's a must watch for me. But it's just below 5Ds in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series for me. But Yusaku is not necessarily the guy that plays the coolest cards as well. For me, there's other characters that have some very good cards, like some very broken cards as well. Like some of the duels, like they're explaining what's going on. It takes a couple minutes to explain, and they build up these really cool boards of monsters and spells and traps. And it's got different archetypes like Gokis, like that swarm the board if you set them up correctly. We've got Trickstars that do a lot of burn damage. But overall, I think Link monsters are a decent mechanic for the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! They're not completely broken, and of course are the first monsters introduced into the game where they don't have an attack, they have a Link rating. But yeah, overall, you have to watch a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Range to understand what's going on. Like, if you only watch like 20 or 30 episodes, you won't understand the plot too much. You've got to watch the whole way through as they piece it all together very nicely. But yeah, some very cool characters in the series, and definitely a must watch. Okay, so this is the last series, Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. This follows the story of Yu-Gi-Oh! His main rival is Luke. Rush Duels is a fascinating concept which is introduced into this anime. So Rush Duels are effectively duels where you can draw 5 cards per turn, play as many monsters as you like. Now, this series at the current time recording is still having its run through in Japan. So at the moment, for me, it is currently in a C tier. Currently has the potential to go up or down depending on how the series plays out. But Yuga, I believe, is into inventions and whatnot, and he likes to go around and doing things. He obviously does a few duels and whatnot. But, yeah, we haven't had too much episodes at the time of recording. So at the moment, my opinion is I like the nostalgia pull of bringing in like cards like Blue Eyes and whatnot, and introducing their style of monsters along the way, their new monsters. And then there's things called maximum summons. But yeah, you have to watch it to understand it. Like, the duels are unique for the fact they're fast-paced and they wrap up usually in one episode. But there, that's all I can say about Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. And that wraps up my anime tier list. Do you guys agree with that list? Let me know in the comments. Of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts and where you rank things on this particular list. Also, smash the like button, guys, if you like these type of videos. I'll do more of them in the future. Share this video with a friend. Turn the notifications on, of course, for more of these sort of tier lists. But for now, guys, we'll see you later.